Can I get your name?
Yep, Elise Warland.
Elise Warland. Welcome. And where are you from, Elise?
Indianapolis, Indiana.
Questions here for you. Answer them the best you can.
Certainly.
So the first one I have is, what does a green funeral mean to you and your family? And why do you feel it's important in today's world?
So we need to look at the consumer of today. So it is not going to be like it was 15 years ago when I first started in the profession. It's not going to be necessarily traditional. Think outside of the box, quite literally, and about what the consumer is, because the consumer of today is extremely educated, and they're also very environmentally conscious.
Which Passages products do families respond to most positively, and why do you think that is?
The willow, definitely the willow caskets. I'm seeing, especially pre-need, I'm definitely seeing green burial families. They're coming in, they're seeing the beautiful casket that the willow is, and I love their response, and like, this is exactly what I want.
Or water burial ceremonies using our products or other green products?
Yes, so definitely the Himalayan salt urn. They would go out on a boat, specifically and particularly just one instance, for example. There was a gentleman that loved deep sea fishing, and so went out into the ocean with the Himalayan salt urn, and they were able to go deep sea fishing. They did catch a marlin, and then they were able to also, at that moment, place the urn into the ocean at the same time that the marlin.
When it comes to green practices and sustainability?
It's transparency, letting the families know what level of green, because there are different shades of green. And so education is going to be key in how we're going to present the level of sustainability. They were 100% green, very, very, very dark green as far as shades of green. They were a very dark green family. Chose a Green Burial Council certified cemetery, chose all Green Burial Council certified products, and Passages is one of those, which I love. Yes. And I also make sure the families know that you guys are 100% Green Burial certified council.
First off, what is your name?
Rachel Mooring,
Perfect. And where are you from, Rachel?
New Orleans, Louisiana.
To green practice and sustainability.
Well, I'm a firm believer in green practice, especially for burials. It's to each their own, but where I come from, space is limited, and we do a lot of reuse. So to be cautious and aware of that for the future generations is important.
All right. Stop. What is your name?
Also Rachel, but Rachel Boyd.
Rachel Boyd. Perfect. And Miss Rachel, where are you from?
Iola, Kansas. It's 2 hours south of Kansas City in the southeast corner of Kansas, and most people don't know where it's at.
Wow, that's incredible. Okay, I have a couple questions for you. Answer them best you can. If you have any questions for me, feel free to ask those, okay? What does a green funeral mean to you and your family or your customers, and why do you feel it's important in today's world?
Well, I think it's important because so many people are already choosing cremation, and it would just add another level of options because a lot of people don't know what options they have with cremation. Now, we currently don't offer a whole lot of green burial, full burial options because of where we're at. Cemeteries don't let us do that. So things like biodegradable urns would be a lot more popular in our area.
I'd love to hear that. And how do you see the funeral industry evolving over the next 5 to 10 years in terms of sustainability?
Well, like I said, so many more people in the past recent years have been choosing cremation. So it adds that other level to, hey, I already want to be cremated because I don't want to take up all this space. You know, a lot of people say ashes to ashes, and they want to be scattered, but this would allow their family to have more of a concrete area where they are, but still getting that biodegradability.
My name's Callahan Derringer. I'm based out of Richmond, Virginia. A green funeral to me means something that is eco-friendly, that is more with the times, that we can place in the ground, and it's not going to take up that space.
I swear. All right, question number 2. How do you see the funeral industry evolving over the next 5 to 10 years in terms of sustainability?
I think it's going to grow. It's grown so much over the past few years. It's our ideas. They're coming to life. Families and women and men in the funeral industry are speaking up, and we are the ones who are choosing what we put our loved ones in. So we don't want the traditional urn. We want something that's meaningful. We're more conscious on our earth and saving our planet. So I think it's just going to expand tremendously. I show all my families the rock salt urns. They're my favorite. I have them all on my desk. I love them. It makes me think of the rock salt lamps. I have them all throughout my house. They're warm, they're comforting. That light just gives you that peace of mind that, to disconnect from the world for a little bit. And that's what I describe to my families who are interested in eco-friendly urns. I immediately bring the rock salt urn out. I let them touch it. I let them feel it, the weight, put it by a light to show them, hey, your loved one can shine on.
Morgan, what is your name?
Hi, Morgan. My name is Brittany Moulton, and I'm from Houston, Texas.
What is most important to you when it comes to green practices and sustainability?
Being knowledgeable. I think being knowledgeable is more important than just selling anything, because I can sell you your shoes. With that, I need to be able to tell you what is the importance outside of what is the product that I'm offering you, as well as what separates this from you going to Batesville or Matthews or somewhere else getting the same product. When I was working at the funeral home, I do recall selling a scattering urn to a husband who had lost his wife, and during that process, everything to me, it seemed like he just was not there. But when we got to that particular part of it, when it came to what are we placing your wife in, it seemed like he actually a switch hit, and that is when I got his attention. And it seemed like at that moment everything else was about the wife at that time.
Which Passages products do you think families respond to the most positively, especially in your area, given different climate regulations, different like state regulations, legislation, things like that?
In Texas, I believe it is the scattering tubes, just because it is a different object that they can sit and they can hold, and not necessarily, it doesn't look like your typical urn. So it is something that can be placed around the house. It is something that you can just have visually, and people not necessarily think and say, oh, there's a dead body right there. So for me, I believe that it is a scattering urns, and that way you all, when you offer the tubes, you have different colors, different sizes, different shapes, and now you all are engraving them, you're adding pictures. So I believe that this is that keepsake where it's not necessarily so morbid, focused on death, but it gives you that little personalized touch of death. Well, for me personally, being in this industry, it has taught me so much to being open to the evolution of life, as well as being open to everybody's walks of life. So for me, it's just teaching my family the different aspects that come with one, life itself, as well as what happens after death. So just being able to please all the different types of people, from people who are, may not be so financially structured, but people who can just, have something and still be able to bury their loved one peacefully.
Hi, my name's Ratana Meir, and I'm from Opelousas, Louisiana, and I'm with LaFawn Ordway Funeral Home Legacy Funeral Group.
What is most important to you when it comes to green practices and sustainability?
The products that's available, so that it's not metal, not plastic. I like all the wooden pieces and the safetiness of it.
Beautiful. Would you recommend Passages products to a family member, acquaintance, coworker?
Yes, I would definitely recommend this, because it's something different to offer to families versus the traditional caskets or the cardboard box for cremation. I think we need to think of the person and their beliefs, their wishes, kind of their hobbies and interests, something that'll cater to them better. And like the wicker basket look for the caskets are so much better and softer and more comfortable, I think, for the loved one to have their send-off.
Yeah. All right. What is your name, my dear?
My name is Laura.
Perfect. Welcome to Passages. Where are you from, Laura?
Thank you. I'm from Marietta, Georgia.
All right. I have a couple questions for you today. Answer them the best you can.
Sure.
What does a green funeral mean to you, your family, your customers, and why do you feel it's important in today's world?
Because it's something that's important to us, to our future, and something that's important to our family.
Beautiful.
Just because it's not traditional doesn't mean it's not right.
This is very true. And how do you see the funeral industry evolving over the next 5 to 10 years in terms of sustainability?
More aquamation, more terramation, more states passing those laws to have that happen, because people are going, oh, these cemeteries are taking up space, and they're worried about embalming fluids. And there's nothing wrong with the way that we've been doing things, but there are other options.
What's important to you when it comes to green practices and sustainability?
It's important to me to make sure that I'm helping make a future for my kids, for other people's kids, for their kids, because everything is always changing, always evolving, and we have to embrace that.
So welcome to Passages.
Hi.
What is your name?
My name is Lindsay.
Lindsay, welcome.
Thank you.
And where are you from, Lindsay?
Jacksonville, Florida. Long way from home.
What does a green funeral mean to you and your family, and why do you feel it's important in today's world?
Yeah, I have 2 young daughters, and when I think in terms of the future and what's coming for them, I think my generation has failed them as far as making any endeavors into green practices with burials and cremations. So making sure that the planet is in decent shape for them is important to me.
How do you see the funeral industry evolving over the next 5 to 10 years in a more green or sustainable practices?
Yeah, I see consumers even currently becoming more and more aware of environmental concerns. I would say 1 in 5 families that I meet with, they are asking for different options specifically because I'm a sole cremation provider and I have to tattle on us. We do not offer any kind of eco-friendly cremation containers, to where on our cremation authorization document that should have a fill in the blank as far as which container for cremation they've elected to use, that is pre-filled with the word cardboard. And when we get to that item on our cremation authorization form, they gasp and say, "What do you mean cardboard?" And it breaks my heart. Yeah, I would love to begin to be a better human and do better on my part there. Offer clientele more options. The funeral industry has evolved so much in the last 40 to 50 years that I think we're going to make leaps and bounds here in the next 10.
I'd love to hear that. I'd love to hear that. Alrighty, a couple more questions here for you. Have you seen or heard of any particularly meaningful scattering or water burials, tree burials, using these products or any other green products?
Yes, I have. So we are a Passages customer, and it's been maybe in the last 6 months, 6 to 10 months, I would say, that we've introduced your products slowly. Merchandising them has been very fun, and when customers walk into our office, their jaws just drop and they say, "We didn't know that specifically the scatter tubes, they could be this pretty." And I completely agree with that. But yes, I had one family follow up with a phone call into our office, and they shared their experience with a beach scattering using one of the tubes. And it just meant a lot to me, because in our cremation company, we can't be physically present for services, but that follow-up phone call just made us feel really nice. So it's a quality product.
Which Passages products do families respond to most positively, and why do you think that is?
It is the tubes. It's the power of the tube.
It's the power of the tubes. I love that.
They're beautiful. They're diverse. They're not cookie cutter and outdated designs that families, beliefs no longer align with, or they really are a nice product. We get the best feedback with those and the turtles because they're adorable.
Brett, would you recommend Passages products to a family member, acquaintance, associate?
Yeah, without question.